Welcome to the podcast, where we teach you how to create marketing that pops. Get ready for refreshing conversations with industry experts, trendsetters, and creative minds that'll leave you bubbling with inspiration. Get ready to turn up the volume on your business. Let's get popping. Welcome back to Marketing That Pops. I'm Olivia, and today we are joined by Molly Tracy, the founder and CEO of VRAI Digital, a talent management and influencer marketing agency that is redefining how creators and brands collaborate. Molly, welcome to the pod. Thanks for being on today.
Thanks so much. So happy to be here.
I would love to just hear a little bit about your background if you want to just kind of give us everything about you, and then we can kind of get into it.
Yeah. So I've been in the influencer marketing space since 2012. So I'm a bit of a dinosaur in this industry.
No.
It's been so fun to watch the evolution, though, over the last decade plus, and just to see where the industry has grown. And we're leaps and bounds from where we were when we started. I mean, the idea of creator was not even a term. Influencer didn't exist. Creator economy certainly was not anyone's vocabulary. I got my start in agency life. So I actually used to work on the flip side of the business. I was working at an agency. I was, spearheading strategic influencer marketing integrations and strategy with lifestyle brands. I've worked on everything from hospitality to luxury fashion to style to food and bev and CPG. I made the switch over to talent management about 7 years ago, and then I opened up VRAI in 2019. So this is our 6th year in business, and we are a boutique management firm based out of Chicago. And we work with mostly female creators. We do have one male talent, one token male that we've let kind of slip through the cracks, but we love him so much, love him dearly. And yeah, we work with women that are mostly now based in lifestyle, wellness, and motherhood.
Wonderful. Well, I'm happy and excited to get into all of that with you today. But as I was telling you, for every episode, we start off with a myth that we have our guest debunk, and today is no different. Today, the myth that I have for you is, one, I was going to ask you about influencer marketing and is it all about the follower count, which I feel like that myth has been debunked. But I do have been saying, just the relevancy of influencer marketing, and I'd love for you to just talk about where that's headed and where you see that in the industry right now.
In terms of follower count and the importance of that?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's so funny because when we started in influencer marketing, again, back in the day, it was all about follower count. It was very much, we need to reach as many people as possible. So we need to be working with people with the largest audiences. The trackability really didn't exist back then. There was not even, this is I'm really aging myself, but there was not even a way to add links on Instagram yet. There was no swipe ups did not exist, or link clicks now did not exist. And so there was no idea around tracking conversion. You could always see if there was a correlation between an uptick in sales and when someone would post, but you couldn't really actually connect A to B like you can now. And so it was all an awareness thing. And in order to get the most awareness, you had to work with people that had their largest audiences. It's definitely shifted. I think the narrative in the industry has really become so much more focused on community and so much more focused on a creator's connection to their community and the engagement that they have within their community. In order to drive awareness or drive sales, it's much less focused on a numbers game. That said, I've actually had a lot of conversations with brands this year who seem to be dipping their toes back into more macro talent because we've sort of gotten to this place where we can't sell product if no one is aware of our product.
Right.
And so some budgets have really started to shift back into at least having a duality between, okay, we need a bucket of creators who are going to be able to move units for us and move product for us, but we also need to reserve budget for some of those larger creators who can create an awareness for us or a viral moment that will kind of put us on people's radar. I don't think that we're in a place now where it's all about the follower count, but I do think that there is a little bit of a movement back into working with those macro creators, knowing that we need a bit more of an awareness play now because there is so much noise in the space. And so we need somebody that is going to kind of cut through to us and get our product in front of a new consumer set. So I'm seeing a bit of us kind of going back to the old school books in that way, which I kind of love.
That's so interesting that you say that because I feel like, us as marketers, we've had so many conversations about macro and middle influencer counts and just kind of what that all entails. And we have worked with some brands who have been going with the smaller influencers and have seen good results. But that's interesting that you say that about kind of going back. to that. Very interesting. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's all going to tie back to your goal, right? Like you don't hire a macro creator expecting them to move a lot of units of product for you. That
Right.
is just, that's not what their expertise is. And that's not why you're hiring that creator. And so I think as long as you can stay grounded in what your KPIs are for the campaign, you can then kind of think about where you want to allocate budget, whether it's larger creators, smaller creators, or more of like a mid-tier mix.
Indeed. Yes, for speaking my language. I love this. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey. I mean, I know you kind of talked a little bit about where you got your starts, but if you want to talk to us a little bit about how you made that transition into your own business and what that all entailed.
Yeah. So the agency that I was working at before, I was there for 5 years, and I was really lucky that it was a boutique agency. And I think the perks of working for a boutique agency is that you really get to get your hands dirty in a lot of different areas as long as you raise your hand for it. So I was actually hired into that agency as the director of social media. So I was working in the social media space before I even got into influencer. I was doing community management and content creation and copywriting, and bloggers sort of hit the scene at that time. And we were a hybrid agency where we did very traditional PR and social media for our clients. When bloggers sort of kind of hit the scene, they were folded underneath our PR arm of the business, mostly because I think most PR agencies were looking at bloggers as almost like online editors. So like they got the same mailings as editors did. And like we kind of just kept them underneath that bucket. But then when we started to get into a space where, okay, creators are now asking to be paid to post, and our PR team was like, well, we don't really know like what a good engagement rate is, and we don't know how to spot fake followers. And like, this really feels like more of a social arm. And so I sort of raised my hand and I was like, I'm a little burnt out on social. I'm kind of tired of posting on the weekends. I've been spending 24/7 online and monitoring our social media channels. And I was interested in the space in general. I thought at the time when bloggers were coming about in the industry, it was all female bloggers. Men really were not in the mix yet. It was mostly women that were talking about things that women cared about, which was fashion and beauty, and food was sort of popping up a little bit too. Home hadn't quite hit there just yet. And I was like, this is so neat that this is an industry that like women have created for each other. It's stuff that we care about. And it's like this little place on the internet that I felt like women had carved out for themselves. And so I moved into an influencer role there. I sort of spearheaded that department and built that leg of the business at the agency. We started to bring in clients who were coming to us just for influencer activations and not really even necessarily for PR and social any longer. And I did that for about 5 years and I loved it, but I found that I needed a little bit more purpose in what I was doing. You know, I think it was exciting to see campaigns come to life, and it's always nice to hear like when a client is like, happy with results. But I was sort of like, what's the bigger picture on all of this? Like, how are we really improving people's lives, or what's the impact that we're making here? And so we actually opened up a talent leg of the business at that same agency. We started working with Chicago bloggers. They were already into the fold into our agency. We were working with them on the flip side of the business. We were sending them campaigns, and there were so many Chicago bloggers that weren't represented yet because it just at that time, I think people were really focused on the coasts really for creators. There was so many people kind of like in the middle that nobody was really scooping up. And when I switched over to talent and we did our first brand deal, my mindset was now like, oh my gosh, like I can play a role in building this woman's business for herself, for her family, to create a livelihood for her. It was sort of like every brand deal was her kid's college fund or her mortgage payment or their family vacation. And it took this industry that I loved, but sort of then really rooted it in, oh, there's real purpose in what we're doing here. We're truly changing women's lives by allowing them to build a business for themselves. And I just kind of got hooked on that. And so when I started my own agency, it was really more of I kind of woke up one day and I was like, oh my gosh, I've built this thing for somebody else. And what am I doing? I feel like I was so fortunate to gain so much knowledge there and to work so closely with our C-suite there and have an understanding of the inner workings of the business. And I felt like if I don't do this now, like I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have a mortgage, like now is the time to do it. I was 29 when I opened the business. So it was sort of like do or die. I kind of felt like do it now or don't. And so I just left and did my own thing and had no idea how to run a business and didn't have a business plan or a website or landing or any of that. I just knew that I was really good at my job and I had some clients that wanted to continue to work with me. And so figured it out from there.
I love that. I love how you just got into like how you were really impacting these people's lives, like that really directly. I want to just kind of talk about how you're able to kind of bring those people into the fold. Do people approach you when influencers, or how do you kind of like prospect, or how can somebody kind of get in touch with you in that way?
We're very fortunate that 90% of our business is referral based, which is amazing.
Mm,
We have a boutique roster and we will always have a boutique roster. Right now, we have about 14 creators that we work with. And I think the most that we probably would ever have is 20. I manage
mhm.
all the talent myself. And so, like, truly, it's mostly a bandwidth thing. And
Right.
we also really pride ourselves on being incredibly invested in our creators, not just as a part of our business, but like as humans. I'm incredibly close with my creators. Most of my creators have been with me 5+ years. And so I know them and their families. And I don't think that you can provide the level of service that we provide our creators at scale.
Mhm.
And so we keep it very small and tight. And so referrals are great because it really allows me to have somebody that's gut checked from someone else on the roster already. So you could kind of bypass the vibe check
Yeah.
that you normally have to do when you're,
Mhm.
vetting new creators. You already sort of know that they passed the vibe check, which is great. But we do scout a lot. Like, I am hyper online. I live online. I just have like
As all
screenshots
of
of
us
people that
are,
I,
yes.
as all of us are. I have like screenshots of people that I think are doing something interesting and have a creative angle that I think is really cool, or they have a specific style that I think is really neat that could fit into the roster. And then we have people that reach out to us all the time too. We have an intake form on our website. People hear about us through either podcasts or speaking gigs that I've done and things like that. And I'm always really fortunate when people are excited about VRAI and wanting to work together.
You talked about some of the campaigns that maybe came to life, and it was amazing to see those numbers come in. Is there any particular campaigns that maybe you've worked on recently that you would like to share, or like just aha moments of, oh, like I was able to bring the partnerships together and to make this beautiful moment?
I mean, I think that we've done so many fun ones that are like meaningful in different ways. I think,
Yeah.
we've worked with some brands across years for our clients, which is always
Mhm.
really exciting. We've worked with some brands that did our clients' wedding registry to then their baby registry,
Oh,
which is always just so exciting to like see
yeah.
that kind of progress through like their different life stages, which is amazing. It's always really fun when you're able to nail like a dream partnership for
Mhm.
somebody. We had a gal who's a body positivity creator and was desperate to work with Dove because she really felt like Dove was the first brand that like saw her, or that she at least
Mhm.
could see herself in. And so we got to
Mm.
work with them on a campaign. So I think anytime that there's like such an organic affinity there, it's always nice to see those come to life.
We are a digital marketing agency, and sometimes we do get clients that are looking for influencers. What kind of advice would you give a marketing agency that maybe that's not their expertise with influencers? What would your advice be to rather scout, or to kind of cut through maybe some of that red tape that you were talking about? Yeah, if you could speak to that.
I feel like I could take this in so many different directions. I feel like when I'm talking to brands now, because sometimes we do still, we're predominantly 99% talent focused, but we do
Mhm.
sometimes still take on brand collabs
Sure. Yeah.
and brand strategy. I think it keeps me sharp, which is really nice. It's just like good to a campaign and be in the thick of it and like
Okay.
know what brand peeps are dealing with on the other side. I think it's like good, kind of keeps you sharp as a manager. My whole thing is I always start with you've got to stay grounded in your KPIs. You have to stay grounded in what are you looking to achieve within this campaign? And then even
Mhm.
a step further, what does that success look like for you? So,
Yes.
if somebody is coming to me and they're like, "Hey, we are a CPG product. We are D2C only, and we are looking to hire creators that are going to convert." That's it. Solid.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, what does that look like for you? Like, when you say
Right.
looking to move product, what does that look like for you? Is that a 1.5x ROI? Is that a 2x ROI? Is that a 3x ROI? Even deeper than that, what is your AOV? Let's talk about if this is even feasible. It would be really difficult to like 3x a campaign if your AOV, your average order value, is like $5. I mean, people
Right.
would need to move hundreds of units for you in order to make
Right.
that happen. And so, like,
Mhm.
let's ground ourselves in reality really quickly. And maybe influencer isn't the way to go for that. Maybe you should look at more of a UGC route and just go whitelisting, because your cost per click is probably going to be much cheaper than what you're going to pay for influencer.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and in which case, if you're looking for a conversion campaign, like, okay, mid tier is probably going to be where you want to start. here's some questions that you can ask. I would definitely start by asking, obviously, you want to look to see story views and link clicks. Don't bother paying for in-feed unless you do plan to whitelist. But even so, sometimes the people that can convert the mid-tier level is probably going to be too expensive for an in-feed post for you to ever make your money back on that. So maybe we're just focused on stories for them. So maybe we're focused on stories versus an in-feed. Maybe we need to look at their affiliate data. So like asking them to give you your last 30 days of affiliate overview, whether you're using LTK or ShopMy, but you want to ask for a sense of like, can you move product and at which price point and in which category? Because just because someone can sell a sweater doesn't necessarily mean that they can sell a cleansing oil or something like that.
Right.
So there's a little nuance and difference there. I also would say, don't bother going macro. Don't pay a celebrity and expect to see them to move units. It just doesn't typically work like that. And sometimes if you're going too micro, like they're not used to converting their audience or they haven't trained their audience to shop with them and they don't have an affiliate capability. So we ask a lot of questions like that. And then on the flip side, for like the awareness front, like what does awareness mean to you? Is that new Instagram followers? Is that new Google? Is that like an uptick in Google searches? Is that website hits? Really trying to define KPIs and metrics so we can better advise them on where they should go to scout and what they should be looking for.
Yeah. I mean, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with say, kind of like managing not even just emotions, but what the results might actually be, and definitely being rooted in reality. I think with marketers, that's always the case, because with clients, it's always like, well, we want to have a viral moment, or we want to sell. And it's like, okay, but like, let's really try to figure out the nitty gritty of all that. So,
and knowing it takes a little bit of trial and error too. I think that anybody that's just starting out, if it's a new brand that's just dipping their toe into influencer, I'm like, you need a good 6 months under your belt of using influencer to really see what's going to work and really get your messaging out there. Because a lot of times, like brands will have a brief and they have key messages that they're putting out there. And you need to get some data back to see if any of that is even resonating with your audience.
right.
Like, for instance, maybe it's maybe you're showing like a magnesium product, right? And like you're thinking, oh, this is great for sleep. This is our sleepy time, hot chocolate, whatever. People are going to love it for that. Well, you might get responses back from your audience or even from your creator who's like, yeah, it's good for sleep, but also I really like it for focus. I feel so much more focused when I take this. And so just getting some of that like chatter back and community engagement back to see what messages actually are really landing with our community. And like, maybe we need to switch up the way that we're positioning the product based off of what's actually landing. So I always say you need a good 6 months to really kind of gather all of that data, and then you can come from a really informed place for your next move.
No, I love that, because usually when, as marketers, I feel like we're always saying, we have to have some trial period to be able to play. I would say for any company that is looking to, work with a marketing agency or influencers at all, I feel like you do have to have that trial and error period so that you can try different things and feel what works. And especially as you're saying with the audience, and that's interesting about just kind of like being able to nuance and tweak the messaging based on the feedback that you're getting from your community. Very good insights. Would you say that there's any red flags for big mistakes that any marketers kind of do, besides, the obvious of, oh, we want to, like you said, hire the celebrity and, I don't know, sell this huge, expensive product? Is there anything else that you would say that maybe agencies have done that are red flags?
I mean, there's from like the management side of things or from like the agency side of things. I think
it even could be from brands too, because I think they all could have their own red flag.
Totally. I think when it comes to anyone that's getting into marketing, of what creators could see as like a bit of a red flag, or at least things that I would say let brands know, is I would definitely realistic usage terms. One of my biggest pet peeves is a brand that's, oh, we want usage in perpetuity. And I'm like, no, you don't. You really actually don't. You're never going to use it. Content moves so quickly now that even something that you created 3 months ago is likely not going to be relevant in today's like internet culture. And so I always steer brands away from saying that you want it in perpetuity, because you really, it's a red flag to the creator. You're going to get shut down right away anyway, which is just it's a stopgap, right, in your conversations that you're having. So I'm realistically really think about how long you want to use this. Most of the time what they're saying is like, hey, we'd love to be able to repost it on social and then let it live in perpetuity, which totally makes sense. Repost
Okay.
it within a specific time frame. Usually I say within 30 days of the creator's content going live. And then, like, yes, once it's posted in feed, sure, it can live there forever. We're not going to come back and be like, you need to take it down now.
Yeah.
You worked with them and you should be able to leverage that content. And so I think, like, really thinking about that. I also always would say, as a brand, negotiate whitelisting rates ahead of time, just because you want to know how much it's going to cost you. And I think it's smart to have it ahead of time and add it into a contract from as a, if we would like to enter into, here's the cost of it. The reason being, I mean, we don't really do this as an agency, but I've seen it when I've been on brand side. If you come back to the talent and you're like, hey, your content really crushed, we would love to whitelist it, it can be a flag to a manager to be like, okay, so y'all really want this, eh? Like, what are you willing to pay for it? Type of,
Right.
like, it
Yeah,
can
yeah,
kind of give
yeah.
them a bit of like a negotiating kind of tactic to be like, sure, you can have it if it's performed really well. Like, we'll let you use it for X, Y, and Z. And they might bump up the price a little bit because it performs so well organically versus saying off the bat, oh, yeah, for sure, it's $1,000 a month to whitelist this or something like that. So I would say negotiate as much usage upfront as you can. But my other big red flags are, I would say, when you're doing outreach to creators, like, just make sure you're value aligned. We have a creator on our roster who is vegan, who gets pitched like wool sweaters, and like she got pitched for chops the other day. And I'm like, peeps,
Yeah.
like, just do a little bit of research, I think. But also just political alignment too, I think, is really important, and making sure. We had one creator the other day she's very anti-Maha. That is really her space. And she got reached out to for an opportunity with a Maha led brand. And she was like, you guys understand that, like, this, we're not value aligned here,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I think things like that are really important too.
Yeah, especially in today's climate. It's just all of those things have to be in place.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about trends and like anything that you're seeing right now. It doesn't have to be necessarily anything that you and your influencers are necessarily working on, but maybe that you've just seen in the space that you're, oh, I really am vibing with this trend that's going on in the marketing space. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I think the one that we've focused on the most this year is just the monetization of content. A lot of our creators are old school bloggers. So again, women that have been in this space for 10 plus years. And so Substack has been, I think, such a nice resurgence for them to kind of like get back
Yeah.
to their roots of writing and creating community and long form content. And I think that long form content is probably the way that most people have been able to build a career of longevity in this space. It is very, very difficult, I think, to build a 10 plus year career off of 15-second videos. Not saying that's not possible, but I think it's much easier to build a career with longevity where you have serious buy-in from your community. People that are either willing to watch a 10-minute video or read, something at length that you've created. It just shows a stronger buy-in. And so I think Substack has been so exciting for that. I feel like there was a lot of hesitation at first around sort of charging for this type of content, because we have just been programmed to consume content for free for so long from these creators. But I think that we've really been able to prove of concept that, like, people are willing to invest in the creators that they really feel passionate about and whose journey they've probably been following for quite some time. So I think that that's only going to further. I feel like there's such a great sense of community over on Substack too, which is amazing. It's something that we're seeing brands monetize a ton too. I feel like brands have always kind of ebbed and flowed in and out of newsletter, but like this year specifically, like, they've been really interested in Substack. It's a smaller community that people are typically reaching, but it tends to be much more highly engaged because it's not something that you're passively consuming. You're not just scrolling and seeing a piece of content come across your desk. You're opening an email and actually intentionally, engaging with that piece of content. So I'm excited to see that. And I think it's so fun that so many brands have gotten into Substack as well, with getting to be relevant on TikTok and like understanding that platform. But like, I've seen a lot of brands do Substack well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. One of the things that we've been talking about just as a team is just kind of Gen Z as a culture, and just how, for lack of a better word, how crazy their kind of content has been with even just like Duolingo, and just how different brands have like kind of adopted that kind of not really like linear thought process of like posting. I feel like I've seen so much more of that, and also just really bringing personality back into social media as a whole, and really letting their brands have a voice. What do you think about that? Just how
Obsessed.
Yes.
TikTok comment sections are like my favorite place to live now, because it literally is just brands trying to insert themselves into the conversation. And it's like, I'm telling you, 5 years ago, you would never.
Yeah.
You would, like, the only person that was really doing it was like Wendy's, I feel like. Like Wendy's Twitter was like always kind of popping off like that. But now I feel like every brand is trying to make a viral moment, trying to get screenshot and add it onto some meme page or whatever.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I think it's like fun that they're like in on the joke. I think it's great. And I feel like we were all so bored with corporate social media. It felt just so much like, here's information about us.
Well,
and
it's like they were untouchable, you know?
Yes, totally. And it just was like boring content to consume. I feel like for the longest time, like when social came up, it was like, okay, people have personality and brands have brand, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like brands really have personality. Brands are in an internet culture. I think it's so funny.
I mean, honestly, that is my favorite thing. Especially when people have a comment, they're like, I broke my neck to get to the comment section.
Oh my God, it's my favorite. I like sometimes won't even watch the whole video when I'm like,
I know,
I'm just like going right. I'm like 10 seconds in, I'm like right in the comments. That's like, they know it's going to be good.
I'm glad we're all the same in that way. In 2025, obviously there has been just a surge of AI. And I guess one of the good things about it is we're able to collect more data. But do you feel like that is changing the way that agencies and influencers kind of approach strategy or their thought process? And maybe what do you think about the whole AI universe that we are currently living in?
Yeah, I don't, like, from an agency standpoint, like brand agency side, I don't know how you can function in your job without utilizing it now.
Yeah.
I think like it is automated so many processes. For God, I wish I had it when I was on that side of the business.
Right?
Like, we didn't even really have like search tools back then. We had 4 had literally just come out, and 4 was great, but like it was not perfect. 4 would, if you had to build a list of 200 creators, 4 might get you 50. You know what I mean? But you were still so manually doing it, and it was so arduous. I don't know how you can function without AI now. I will say, is it perfect? No. I think it does help to scrub bios and scrub content for keywords if you're list building for a specific campaign, but it's also not perfect. Like sometimes I'll submit somebody for a campaign and the manager will come back to me and be like, oh, I see that 80% of our audience is Australian. And I'm like, no, sis, like here's a screenshot. Like it's 80% US, you know? So some of that I think is a struggle, but that's just tech, right? Like I think no tech is perfect. I think it's been so incredibly helpful for content creators. I think especially now as we look at having brands wanting to see much more thorough and robust concepting. Before it was like, here's a couple bullet points. I'm going to do a get ready with me and talk about the product. And the brand was like, great. Now it's much more, okay, scene by scene. Where are you shooting? Is it a voiceover? Is it set to music? Is it this? Like, are you showcasing this product? What other products are you going to show? Like, what are you wearing? They're wanting to have much more thorough concepting, which these are not creative agencies. I think if you want that thorough of concepting, like start paying creative agency fees, but like different topic, different time. But I think that AI has helped for that, right? It has helped sort of streamline that process a little bit. And I will say it's also really great for, I mean, these people are busting out content every single day, right? And so like the creativity that you have to have in order to create that volume of content is darn near impossible. And so I do think it also is a great tool for creators just to get some juices flowing, you know? Maybe it's pumping out 10 ideas and 1 or 2 are good, but it's like 1 or 2 more than you had before you started. So I do think that where I think it gets tricky is when people are using AI to create videos that are very clearly AI, and then it's not disclosed as AI. It's like, well, that's a really cool video, but I feel like we have to get to a place where we're starting to disclose that it is AI. In order to say, like, keep that same kind of authenticity, you know? I want to know what I'm engaging with as a consumer.
Because I've seen videos and also in the comment section where people are like, I'm not sure if this is AI anymore. Like, nobody knows. It's like, is this real or... like you said, what am I consuming?
And I think we just, like, we're owed as consumers to be able to see if it is or not.
It helps us have more buy-in too of, do I actually want to consume this? Or, and you know, even if it was like an AI something selling a product, I don't know, it just kind of helps you align with where you land, I guess.
Totally.
Are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Yes, I'm nervous, but let's do it.
Just wait. I think you'll be fine. So, do you start your day with coffee or matcha?
Matcha first, coffee in the afternoon.
TikTok trends or timeless content?
TikTok trends. I'm a sucker.
Live events or digital launches?
Oh, live event.
DM outreach or formal email pitch?
Email. I live in my email. I can't. The DMs are too complicated for me. It's a hot mess in there.
Podcast or newsletters?
Podcast.
Okay, and lastly, one social media platform you'd keep, and which one would you delete?
I would say X because it's meh, but I don't even really count X anymore. Is that terrible? I'm not a YouTube girly though. If I had to NX one, I'm NXing YouTube and will keep TikTok over IG all day long.
I love it. I wanted to know, had you had a moment where you realized, and I think that you kind of answered this a little bit, but was maybe necessarily working with your influencers where you had that moment where you're, this is why I do what I do. And this is why I started this company.
It really is the messages that I get from my creators to be like, this is changing my life. Truly, this is changing my life. You have no idea what this is doing for me and my family. And I'm just so eternally grateful for that. And that is what makes me excited to do my job every day. Beyond the fact that I think that we all get to work in the best industry and 90% of it is girlies and we're just doing girly marketing things. And I think it's just so fun. We forget to sometimes sit back and think of, oh my God, we get to talk about mascara, but also on the flip side, do really cool, life-changing, and especially on the political or socio-political side of things. I don't know. I just think that we get to have such a cool impact in the world and in the way that people think. And so we should just stay lucky in that.
I love that. I'm going to stop with that question because that was such a beautiful answer. But I'd love to know where, Molly, everybody can find you on the internet.
We are at VRAIdigital.com. We're on IG at VRAI Digital. And also I'm on LinkedIn. Slide into my DMs. I try to be active there. That's the only place that I feel like I actually am active in my DMs. So you can find me there.
You heard it here. Slide into the LinkedIn DMs, guys. Wonderful. Well, Molly, thanks for being on the pod. I want to take a picture of us too.
Thanks for listening with us today. Stay tuned for the latest in web marketing and design from ThrivePop. Want to be a pop star? Head over to thrivepop.com/podcast to join our mailing list for episode notifications, sneak peeks, listener feedback, and more.